So now we're going to move to the final stage here where we adjust the nut. For this guitar, we're going to need to get the 13 and the 16, the 25, the 38, and we should have a 48 and a 58. These are the files you're going to need to adjust the nut on this guitar. Okay, so now we need to take a look at the string height here off the nut. And this is a part of the job where I want you to use feel and touch. And you can just tell when you touch that string to that first fret how high that is. And then just hold it down on the first fret and touch it to the second fret. And you want those two to be fairly close to the same. The idea is to have the nut, for a typical acoustic guitar setup anyhow, that it's just a little bit higher than when we touch the first fret and go to the second fret. That's going to be just a little bit lower. So when you go across like this, you can feel, well, there's just that little bit of space there. And there's a little bit more here. Well, on this B string, that's even a little bit more than a little bit more. So we're going to have to adjust that one. We need to bring that down. This is crucial when you want to get a guitar to really feel balanced. So let's go ahead and get our nut files out here. For the B string, we're going to need to use the 16. So we just pull the B string out of the way, get our 16 file, and we're going to file that. And because it's a 16 and the string there is actually a 17, I'm going to move the file back and forth a little bit while I file. That makes the slot just a little bit wider. I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. I'm going to show you a little trick when we get to the end, how to make sure that the string is sitting nice and tight. But this is something like the bridge saddle. Let's move slow, just a little bit at a time. Take it back, put it in. You might go back and forth 10, 15 times to get this right. I'm touching that again. Got a little bit of room there. Now I go hold it down on the first fret, touch the second fret. We're still a little bit too much. A little too much height there off the nut. Let's bring that down just a little bit more. Pull out our 16 file here. Move it around a little bit. Make sure when you're putting this string in there, go to lift it up. If it's binding, it means the slot's a little too tight. Beware if you do that, because you might find that when you come and touch it up a little bit more, all of a sudden it just drops down. So make sure that that string is coming in and out nice and easy, and that it's dropping down all the way. Let's take a look at it again. Okay, I think we've got it where we want it. That feels pretty good. So now that we have it where we want it, what I like to do is go to the next size lower. And I do this on all of the strings, because you can get some sit-tarring in at the nut up here when the string is open and you hit it. It'll have a little bit of an extra resonation to it, because the string is vibrating inside there a little bit. So you do want it to be fairly tight, but only a little bit. If it's too tight around the whole string, the string will actually get stuck, and you don't want that. So now we take the next size down, which in this case is a 13. And I'm just going to run that real softly and straight up and down into the nut. Just getting the very bottom of that groove set. Now this 16, well actually this is a 17, it's going to sit in there nice and tight. Get a nice clean sound out of it. Okay, we're all set. Now if you measure your action, we have the capo off. The nut has been adjusted, truss rod's adjusted. You'll come down here and your action is going to be a little bit higher than what we had anticipated. But I took that into consideration when I was setting up those measurements we were going to use. We wanted a little over 3/32 for a typical setup on an acoustic, and just under 1/8 of an inch on the low E. And that's right where we're at now, just where we want to be. So that will do it. Put your truss rod cover back on, and you're all set. You've been tuned. You can double check your tuning, make sure you're tuned up to pitch, and play it up and down. And one of the things you like to do is play every note on the guitar. And you may have to make an adjustment for that. If you have a bad fret here or there, you may have to, that may be time to bring it into the specialist at your favorite shop. And yeah, it looks like we've got it where we want it. I think we're there. So let's go ahead and tune her up and see, give it a final test. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now I want you to keep in mind that this guitar was set up with an open tuning, and we use the open D tuning. It's a good average, good compromise for people that do use drop tunings. But you may be a person who just plays in straight tuning all the time, and if that's the case, then let's set the guitar up just in a standard tuning and don't even mess around with this, because this is just strictly for people. The neck's going to be flexing around more, and this covers that ground for them. But for those of you in standard tuning, just leave it there. Let's see where we're at here. Sounds good.